90-Day Fiance latest news. A night that changed everything. The evening was cold. The sky an endless abyss stretched over an empty road. A whisper of wind brushed against the asphalt, carrying the distant hum of city life. But here, alone behind the wheel, Jamal Menzies felt nothing but calm. One hand rested lightly on the steering wheel, the other drumming absent-mindedly against his thigh, syncing with the music that pulsed through the speakers. The city lights ahead flickered, a warm constellation of yellow and white, guiding him home. It was meant to be another routine drive, simple, uneventful, but fate had other plans. He wasn't speeding. He wasn't reckless. He had driven this road 1,000 times before, knew its turns, its subtle inclines, the way the tires whispered over the pavement. And yet, in the blink of an eye, everything shifted. A barely perceptible tremor in the road, a fleeting vibration in the tires, a sensation, an instinctive warning, crawled up his spine. Something was wrong. The moment seized him before he could react. The car jerked violently. The tires lost their grip. The steering wheel turned alien in his grasp. His breath hitched as the rear fishtailed. The world outside twisting into a chaotic blur of streaking headlights and looming shadows. His hands fought the wheel, his heart thundered, but control was an illusion. Gone in an instant. Then came the impact, a deafening crunch of metal folding, glass shattering. The brutal force threw his body forward. His breath crushed from his lungs as the airbag exploded into his chest. The world narrowed to white, pain blooming in every nerve. The ringing in his ears was unbearable, drowning out the chaos beyond. Smoke curled through the air. A sickening scent of burnt rubber and gasoline filled his nostrils. His head lolled to the side, consciousness a fragile thread threatening to snap. Sirens, distant at first, growing louder, closer. For the first time in his life, Jamal Menzies understood the razor-thin line between existence and oblivion, a mother's worst nightmare. The call came just before midnight. Kim Menzies had been dozing on the couch, the soft flicker of the television casting shadows across the living room. The shrill vibration of her phone jolted her awake, her fingers fumbling for it in the darkness. An unknown number. Her gut clenched. Something was wrong. Hello? Her voice was thick with sleep, but alertness surged as the words on the other end hit like a sledgehammer. Miss Menzies? Mercy General Hospital. Your son, Jamal, has been in an accident. The world tilted. A sharp, sickening drop in her stomach, as if gravity had been ripped from under her. What? No, what do you mean? Is he? Her voice broke, her breath stolen by sheer terror. Ma'am, he's stable. He's conscious. But he has sustained injuries and is currently under treatment. Kim's fingers clenched the phone so tightly her knuckles turned ghost white. The air in the room seemed to vanish, replaced by a suffocating weight. Her son, her baby. Time fractured into a before and after. Before the call, life had been ordinary. After, nothing would ever be the same again. The aftermath of a nightmare. A mother's worst fear realized. And a moment that would redefine everything. The word constant was meant to be a source of comfort. But for a mother whose son had just been in an automobile accident, the term meant nothing. It was empty, hollow, insulting even. Her mind refused to process the receptionist's words over phone. Had she even hung up? Had she grabbed her keys? She couldn't recall. All she knew was that she was running, her heart hammering so violently she feared it would burst from her chest. The streets blurred around her, a cacophony of honking cars and distant voices fading beneath the unbearable weight of terror. Her mind painted horrifying images of Jamal, broken, bleeding, lifeless. The thought sent fresh waves of panic coursing through her veins, and she barely noticed when she stumbled over the curb in her frantic sprint toward the hospital entrance. The receptionist barely had time to lift a hand in an attempt to give directions before she was already past the desk, her breath coming in ragged gasps. It felt like she was suffocating. Each step toward his room an eternity. Then she saw him. Jamal lay in a hospital bed, his right hand wrapped in tight bandages, his temple marred by a deepening bruise. His once easy, confident energy had been drained away, leaving behind something unfamiliar, something that made her stomach twist, weakness. He looked fragile. Her breath hitched. "Oh, my God," she whispered, her voice cracking, barely audible. At the sound of her voice, Jamal's eyes fluttered open, hazy with exhaustion. Despite everything, despite the pain, he mustered the faintest of smiles. "Mother," that one word, weak, barely above a whisper, shattered her. Tears welled in her eyes as she rushed to his side, grasping his uninjured hand as if she could anchor him to this world, to her, through sheer will alone. In that moment, nothing else mattered. He was alive. He was here, and she would never let him go. Near tragedy and a mother's fear, Jamal's shocking accident, and the road to recovery. The world seemed to slow as the dam of emotions finally broke. Kim's breath hitched, her eyes welling with tears as she rushed aside. Her hands trembled above him, terrified that even the slightest touch might cause him more pain. "You scared me to death," she gasped, her voice quivering. "What happened? Are you okay?" "Oh, my God." Jamal exhaled sharply, the controlled breath masking the pain that was still evident in his eyes. "I'm fine," he responded, though the wince that followed betrayed him. Kim's gaze darted toward the doctor standing nearby. Panic lingered in her voice, but she fought to keep it steady. "How bad is it?" she demanded. "Tell me the truth." The doctor glanced over his notes, his expression calm yet serious. "Jamal is extremely fortunate. He sustained a sprained hand, some bruising, and a bit of whiplash. No internal injuries, no broken bones." Kim collapsed onto the chair beside his bed, pressing shaky fingers against her lips. Relief flooded through her in overwhelming waves. "But he's in pain," she murmured, her concern unwavering. The doctor nodded. "That's expected. His body has been through a traumatic impact, but with proper rest and physical therapy, he'll make a full recovery.